Yes.
I'll just keep it going.
Okay, yeah,
that.
perfect. Awesome. Thanks, Del.
I'm going to start admitting people literally in probably about 30 seconds. So.
Okay, sounds good.
Good luck, everyone.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the AIM4Climate Summit Interactive Exhibit Hall workshop. We're going to give it just another minute to get started as people trickle in. Okay, 9:01 Eastern Times promptly, so I'll get things started. Hi, everyone. I'm Hope Vigdepeyton, International Affairs Advisor with the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Office of the Chief Scientist and a co-lead on the Agriculture Innovation AIM4Climate mission. And I'm here to present the AIM4Climate Summit Interactive Exhibit Hall workshop in collaboration with the SDG2 Advocacy Hub and the Foundation for Food and Agriculture Research. And the SDG2 Advocacy Hub is proud to serve as the co-organizer of the AIM4Climate Interactive Exhibit, and you'll learn more about them later on the call. And the Foundation for Food and Agriculture Research is supporting the AIM4Climate Summit, which will take place May 8th through 10th in Washington, D.C. And my colleagues from the Foundation for Food and Agriculture Research, Jillian Woodward and Colleen Klemczewski, are here to answer any questions you may have in the chat. And my colleague, Kristen Gutekunst, will present later on in this presentation about best practice examples for your interactive exhibit hall booths. So next slide, please. Please introduce yourselves in the chat. This will help us to get to know you and get to know each other. A big goal of the AIM4Climate Summit is collaboration, and that's also a goal that we have with these interactive exhibit booths. So please feel free to submit any questions in the chat, and our colleagues from the Foundation for Food and Agriculture Research will help to answer those questions. Next slide, please. The agenda for today's call, which is also being recorded for your information, is first to give background on AIM4Climate and our progress at COP27, as well as the AIM4Climate Summit. We'll give some background about the summit that we're planning from May 8th through 10th. Then this webinar is a deep dive into the interactive exhibit hall work stream leading into the summit. So I'll talk all about the application process and goals for the exhibit hall, as well as the evaluation criteria that we'll use for these exhibit hall applications. After that, my colleague Kristen from SDG2 will present some best practice examples. So be sure to stay tuned for that part of the webinar. It'll be really exciting. Kristen has some amazing experience working on exhibit booths in the exhibit halls with Expo Dubai and other events. And she'll talk about conceptualizing an interactive exhibit. And then at the end of the webinar, we'll have an interactive ideation in breakout sessions aiming to promote collaboration between interested AIM4Climate partners. Next slide, please, Kristen. Next slide. So I'll turn it over now to my colleague, Jamie Adams from the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the lead from the U.S. Department of Agriculture on AIM4Climate. Over to you, Jamie.
Thanks so much, Hope. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this wonderful workshop, and really want to express appreciation to the Foundation for Food and Agriculture Research and the SDG2 Advocacy Hub for supporting the AIM4Climate Summit and pulling together this amazing event. So we hope that you'll find it very fruitful and engaging. And again, just to reiterate, for those who are just joining, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. It's a unique opportunity to learn about others, and through the breakout sessions later in the workshop, it'll be a great opportunity to connect and potentially find partners who may want to engage and work with you on an exhibit at the AIM4Climate Summit. Which will happen later this year. And we are so excited about this opportunity and are looking forward to seeing all of you in Washington, D.C., May 8th through 10th for the AIM4Climate Summit. So I will give you a little bit of background because not all of you on the line are currently AIM4Climate partners. So we do want to just sort of level set and start off by giving you a little bit of background about what AIM4Climate is very quickly, as well as our accomplishments at COP27. And then I'll turn the floor back over to the team to walk through the AIM4Climate Summit and then do a deep dive into preparations for the exhibit hall. So AIM4Climate was launched at COP26. It is a partnership between the United Arab Emirates and the United States that seeks to enable global partnerships and solutions at the intersection of agriculture and climate change. And for all of you who are not yet partners, we encourage you to take a look at the website at www.aim4climate.org and check out some of the information on Twitter at AIM4Climate is the handle for AIM4Climate on Twitter, and explore the opportunities to engage and become part of this growing network of over 300 partners. And it is a unique opportunity to then join the summit. The AIM4Climate Summit is for the partners and by the partners. So you must be a partner of AIM4Climate in order to attend the summit. Next slide. So the objectives, just the high points here of AIM4Climate, and again, there's the terms of reference and so much more information on the AIM4Climate website. So I'd encourage you to take a look if you're not already familiar. AIM4Climate seeks to increase investment and support for climate smart agriculture and food systems innovation. So we have three key objectives: to really focus on increasing investment above that 2020 baseline, both through increasing the public balance sheets of our government partners, as well as through our non-government partners through innovation sprints. And then enabling coordination, collaboration, and increasing cooperation. We know that when we work together, we can move faster. And so AIM4Climate is creating that environment, that platform through key events like the AIM4Climate Summit to bring partners together, to create those opportunities for relationships and to share information and ideas. Next slide. Again, there are three avenues for participation. We have our government partners, of which there are currently 42 countries that are government partners, innovation sprints, and we are now up to over 30 innovation sprints, and we will announce more innovation sprints at the AIM4Climate Summit. And then we have well over 200 knowledge partners, bringing us together to over 300 partners worldwide that are participating and supporting AIM4Climate. Next slide. So just to recap the top line announcements coming out of COP27, for those of you who may not be familiar with COP, that is an annual meeting, one of the largest climate events in the world. It refers to the Conference of the Parties. It was recently held last November in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, and the COP28 will be hosted in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. At COP27, AIM4Climate announced that it had completed its goal to more than double investment. So at COP26, we announced that partners had already increased that investment from to 4 billion. And our goal for last year was to double that to 8 billion. And we were successful in announcing that we had more than doubled investments from across our partners, from government partners and non-government partners through those innovation sprints to 8 billion. We're now at 30 innovation sprints. As I mentioned earlier, we now have 30 innovation sprints that are a wide variety of topics and partners. We'd encourage you to take a look at the website if you're interested in learning more, to reach out to those points of contact. At COP27, we announced 22 new innovation sprints. So we started with 8 at COP26 and added 22, and now at 30 total. And again, we have more than 300. At COP27, we had hit 275. Since COP27, we have well surpassed 300 partners from around the world. Next slide. At COP27, John Kerry, the Special Presidential Envoy for Climate from the US State Department, joined us for the AIM for Climate event at the US Center. That's pictured here. And he challenged AIM for Climate to hit 10 billion by COP28. So we are excited about the opportunity to have this challenge ahead of us. And we think that the AIM for Climate Summit will be an opportunity to hit that goal. And then, of course, as we've talked about and what you're all here to learn more about is the exhibit hall at the AIM for Climate Summit will be May 8th through 10th. This year in Washington, D.C. at the JW Marriott. And we're really excited as this will be a pinnacle event during 2023 to bring all of the AIM for Climate partners together and really advance and increase momentum for AIM for Climate and all of you as we prepare for COP28, which will be November 30th through December 12th, hosted the incoming COP28 presidency, the United Arab Emirates hosted in Dubai as well. And so we are so excited to welcome all of you. Look forward to seeing you at the AIM for Climate Summit. And with that, I'll turn the floor back over to Hope, who will take you through more information about the summit and then the rest of the team through the exhibit hall specifically. Thanks, Hope, over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Jamie. Really appreciate it. So just a brief overview of the overall summit, and we really hope to see you all there in person. Please do note that this summit is largely in person only. The plenaries will be live streamed out, but none of the other activities at the summit are planned to be live streamed. This is to encourage collaboration and networking. It's been a long pandemic and we really hope to see you all there in person. So briefly on the AIM for Climate Summit, this is an opportunity to increase and accelerate investment in and support for agriculture and food systems innovation for climate action. As Jamie noted, hosted May 8th through 10th at the JW Marriott right here in downtown Washington, D.C., and supported by the Foundation for Food and Agriculture Research, which has the goal of bringing together partners to increase and accelerate investment in climate smart agriculture and food systems innovation, and was created in the 2014 Farm Bill to build public and private partnerships that fund bold research addressing these challenges. Now onto the summit. This is an opportunity for partners to really engage and highlight your work on these issues. There are now over 300 AIM for Climate partners. We expect there will be even more by the time of the summit. So this is a terrific networking opportunity and really for the partners, by the partners, as Jamie noted, to raise ambition, build collaborations in the lead up to COP28, which we expect will have a big focus on climate smart agriculture and food systems innovation. Next slide, please. And what you just saw was the website for the AIM for Climate Summit that is now live and registration is now live. So we would encourage you to register as soon as possible as space is limited. We expect attendance of around 800 people at the summit with some capacity for more, but please do register as soon as possible. Again, registration is now open and free of charge. The key components of the summit workstream are highlighted on the website, so please do consult the website to learn more. And briefly, those are, you can at this time apply to host a breakout session highlighting your work, and additional information is available on those on the summit website. AIM for Climate partners are invited to submit proposals to announce increased investments, new partnerships, and tangible progress on climate smart agriculture and food systems innovation. You can also apply now, and as of today, the application is now open for the exhibit hall booth, and that's what this webinar is a deep dive into, and you'll learn more exciting details shortly about that. You can also apply to host a tour. So if you have a laboratory, farm, area that you think would be of interest for the group to visit as part of the AIM for Climate Summit, we would encourage you to apply and invite participants to experience that firsthand. We will also be highlighting at the summit the call to action on uniting global venture investment in support of climate smart agricultural innovation. There will be high-level activities on this work stream at the summit. We also invite you to participate in the Grand Challenge, and we'll be highlighting this at the summit. This is on leveraging the power of AI and machine learning, and there will be a webinar next week on that work stream. So if you're interested in submitting a proposal and working with a great team from Enterprise Neurosystem on your idea in AI and machine learning to support climate smart agriculture and food systems innovation, please do attend that webinar. Enterprise Neurosystem is an open source community of leading academic institutions and chief scientists who will be working with the winner of the grand challenge on their idea. So this is a really exciting and unique opportunity. I'll also highlight at the summit, we will have an AIM4Climate ministerial, bringing together government partners as well as a ministerial through the Agricultural Breakthrough initiative hosted by the UK. So much more detail on the website, but we do invite you and encourage you to apply or to register early for the summit. Registration is now open, and to apply for these different work streams. More information is available on the website. Next slide, please. So now on to the reason why we're all here, to talk about the interactive exhibit. So I'll walk you through next the application and evaluation criteria, and then we'll move on to best practice examples, where I'll hand it over to my colleagues at SDG2 to highlight some really engaging ideas and examples to help give you an idea of what's possible at the AIM4Climate Summit. And this is a super exciting part of the presentation. So bear with me as I go through the application evaluation criteria. Next slide, please. So the goals of the exhibit hall are really to make the pioneering solutions of the future of agriculture tangible and hands-on for participants. We have an image of what a clean energy transition might look like: solar panels, wind turbines, but what do the food systems of the future look like, taste like, feel like? We hope the exhibit hall will contribute to making these solutions tangible, and also hope to create moments that inspire participants to connect with others, learn about new ideas, and take their innovations forward, as well as provide a space to share knowledge and new developments, and for you, the partners, to increase your brand visibility, network, and exchange ideas with other AIM4Climate partners. Next slide. So some important details, and we'll get a little bit into the weeds here, but this is hosted in the JW Marriott at Salon G in the Capitol Ballroom foyer. I'll show you a diagram of that space in the next slide. This is a relatively small exhibit space. We only have space for about 15 exhibit booths. And again, the audience is around 800 participants who are all AIM4Climate partners. And we recommend for those applying, booths have to be staffed during the duration of the event. They'll be closed during the plenary sessions, but open at all other times. Exhibit spaces can be booked individually or shared. We do encourage shared applications, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment, but we do encourage you to work together to apply. Those applications will be looked upon favorably. The event, again, is also physical, but the booths may include hybrid elements. And there will be some limitations with the possibilities of exhibits in terms of food and other items that you may bring, but please do apply with your desired ideas, and we'll work with you to confirm on a case-by-case basis what is possible for the exhibit booth. So we do encourage you to be creative, and you'll get a better idea of what creativity might look like when I turn it over to Kristen in just a moment. Next slide. So this is the space, and you can see here the Grand Ballroom Plenary. This is where the plenary will be taking place. And the boxes in gray are where the exhibit booths will be located. So you can see in Salon G, and in the Capitol Ballroom foyer is where these exhibits will be, as well as in the Grand Ballroom foyer. So this is to give you a better idea of how the space will be laid out. And we do really encourage you to apply for these exhibit booths. We think this is a terrific opportunity to highlight your work and to move the ball forward. Next slide, please. And this is just a visual image of Salon G. This is the interior space, but as shown in the previous diagram, there are also exterior spaces available for these exhibit booths. Next slide. So onto the application and evaluation criteria. Again, this is now live on the AIM4Climate website. Next slide. So in terms of how to apply for an exhibit booth, applicants first and foremost must be an AIM4Climate partner. So we think most folks on this call are already AIM4Climate partners. If you're not yet, please do sign up. The application form is on the AIM4Climate homepage in the bottom left, and you can easily submit an application to be a knowledge partner, to be a government partner, to be an innovation sprint partner. And so those are the three types of partners. And it's very easy to submit the application, but you do need to submit the application in order to attend the summit. So if you're interested in the exhibit booth, first check, am I an AIM4Climate partner? If you're not yet, please do sign up. and we encourage partners to work together to put together their applications. Exhibits should be clearly connected to the AIM for Climate mission, so it should be really clear how your exhibit is connected to climate smart agriculture, food systems innovation, and impact, and measuring impact when and where possible. The exhibits also must be interactive. So Kristen will give you a better idea on this, but they should be engaging at least 2 or more of the 5 senses, and really give participants a hands-on visual image of what the food systems of the future look like, smell like, taste like, and give them that hands-on experience. The applications should also align with 1 or more of the AIM for Climate Innovation Sprint focal areas, which again, as a reminder, are smallholder farmers in low and middle income countries, methane reduction, emerging technologies, and agroecological research. So we do encourage applications that align with these 4 innovation sprint focal areas to create cohesion throughout the event. Please also note this will be a paperless event, so exhibits must use QR codes or other means of sharing marketing material. And this will replace the distribution of paper, plastic, or other products. No swag should be distributed, and this is again to contribute to the sustainability of the event. This is a climate event, so we seek to reduce our environmental footprint when and where possible. Next slide. So there is a fee to apply for the exhibit booths. There are 2 booth sizes available, and here is the fee. If you are interested in applying, please do submit your application, and then the Foundation for Food and Agriculture Research will follow up with you on the charge for the exhibit booth. And the reasons for applying, each option includes the opportunity for your company logo to be displayed during plenary sessions daily and listed in the Summit app, which will be live for participants. Applications can be by an individual organization or multiple partners, which can help to share and defray the costs. And AIM for Climate may reach out once you submit your application to connect you with other potential collaborators following the application review. Applications, again, with multiple partners will be prioritized, and this webinar is another opportunity for you to connect with like-minded partners who may share your interests and create an exhibit booth together, which we strongly encourage given the small size of the space, and also to encourage collaboration, which we believe is essential to building more sustainable climate smart food systems into the future. Okay, next slide. Exhibitor resources, what's included in your exhibit booth: standard electrical outlet, Wi-Fi, a 6-foot table if you would like it, 2 chairs, wastebasket, advice on local production or rental vendors, and a focal point from our team to facilitate your participation. Please do note that not included is support on design technology, which you would need to rent from our local supplier, as well as financial support. So just noting, as you conceptualize your exhibitor applications, what is included and what is not included in those applications for exhibitors. Okay, next slide. And in terms of the application timeline, we are working on some tight deadlines. So please do note this and communicate this to all of your stakeholders and teammates interested in working with you on the exhibit booths, that we're hosting this webinar now to give you the outline of the process and create a platform for collaboration. The application forms are now live on the website for the exhibit booths. We'll also be hosting office hours with SDG2 Advocacy Hub for those who have additional questions or would like to troubleshoot ideas. But please do note that the deadline for applications is February 24th. This is the same deadline for all of the different summit work streams. So mark it in your calendars, February 24th. We encourage all applications to be submitted by this time for consideration. And in the meantime, as I noted earlier, we'll have the open office hours with SDG2 Advocacy Hub, where they'll share their expertise and help AIM for Climate partners to troubleshoot ideas. We'll also have later in the month 2 AIM for Climate Summit consultations with Jamie, myself, and others on the team, where we can help to answer questions about the exhibit hall, but also other work streams leading into the summit. And we will start to inform applicants of the the status of their proposals by March 3rd onwards to give you about 2.5 months of additional planning time to implement your exhibit booth. This is the timeline that we're working on. And please again, mark February 24th in bold on your calendars. That is the deadline for applications for exhibit booths. Next slide. Now on to best practice examples, and this is a super exciting part of the webinar, and I'm thrilled to introduce my colleague Kristen Gutekunst from the SDG2 Advocacy Hub, who again is proud to serve as a co-organizer of the AIM4Climate interactive exhibit. SDG2 will be supporting the overall curation and execution of the exhibit, and the hub will be available to advise partners on their initial ideation during the application process and through to final execution. The hub draws on years of experience convening partners and designing innovative communications and advocacy moments. Like I mentioned earlier, we're hoping to create moments for participants to create robust and memorable experiential offerings. So we're thrilled to be partnering with SDG2 Advocacy Hub on the exhibit hall at the AIM4Climate Summit. And over to you, Kristen, for the next part of the presentation.
Thanks so much, Hope and Jamie. And just before I start, I want to invite my colleague, the Executive Director, Paul Newnham, to give a few words about the SDG2 Advocacy Hub, and also to recognize that I have a number of colleagues who are also on the call who will be joining with the breakout sessions, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Kristen, and thank you, Hope, and to the USDA and the AIM4C team just for really bringing this together. I mean, AIM4C, ever since it was announced, has just been so exciting to just see people crowding in with real innovation to really drive forward change. And the SDG2 Advocacy Hub is super proud to be a part of this and partnering together. The SDG2 Advocacy Hub was brought together to bring UN, private sector, civil society groups around food, agriculture, nutrition, and all the SDGs, and really try and drive forward change in a way that's good for people and planet, and drive good food for all. And we work to do that in bringing in actors who are slightly unusual sometimes, that bring new people and crowd the space. And I think how we drive engagement is really critical. And so it's great to see so many on this call, and we're super excited to be able to work together to try and develop some really interactive exhibits that get people that energy and that inspiration and really drive it forward. So Kristen, back over to you. Thank you for having us, and I'm super excited to be on this journey together and looking forward to May.
Thanks so much, Paul. A brief introduction. I am Kristen Gutekunst. I am working with the SDG2 Advocacy Hub, a little bit of a newer member, but an old friend. Previously, I was working with the Expo 2020 Dubai as the Senior Manager of Events for the Program for People and Planet, where I had the privilege to work with the SDG2 Advocacy Hub on the food and agriculture track. So I got to know them very well, and I also got to do a lot of fun activations with them, which I'll show you in a second. Prior to that, I was also working with a number of UN agencies, experimenting a lot with new media and bringing that into to the public, as well as to decision makers through exhibitions, through virtual reality. I was the head of UN virtual reality previously. We also did augmented reality. We had influencer campaigns. We had cool social media campaigns and ways to bring voices into political processes through data and through interactive and innovative storytelling. So this is really just a little bit of some of the things that I've worked on or what I've seen out there. It's by no means an exhaustive list, but just something to kind of jog the ideas as you're thinking through what we could offer during the AIM4Climate Summit. So obviously, since it's touching on agriculture and climate, having food there. Now, I will say that because this is hosted in a hotel, you'll have to work very closely with the FAR team to share what your ideas are to make sure that they're allowed. Sometimes hotels have restrictions in terms of what can be cooked or prepared from a food offerings, but we do think that this would be an amazing thing to include. So here's a couple examples from Expo 2020 Dubai, where we hosted the Dubai World Trade Center, who brought in fresh vegetables from local farmers and prepared vegetarian meals that could be eaten. We had a local farmers group, women's group cooperative who shared their coffee. And then this is a chef actually preparing tastings of food from a previous event as well. Here is some other events. This is more interactive. So soil and compost, how are we looking at the waste side of things? Hydroponics, and another display of local farmers products. This is low tech in some ways, not digital, but it's very high tech in the sense that this is all solutions that we still have to think about and incorporate. A great interactive display by the Rockefeller Foundation at the AGRF Summit last year, where you could immerse in school meals with tastings and also meeting other people working in this space. A new concept we're working on for beans and showcasing the variety of beans and how we can use them for recipes in different ways. These are some interesting innovative storytelling to bring voices in and to bring voices out. So we had mentioned that although this is mostly looking at a physical event, this is what we meant for as a hybrid element. So on the left, you'll see Shared Studios portal. At the UNGA in 2015, we worked with UNICEF to have a portal in the Zaatari camp in Jordan, which brought the voices of Syrian refugees directly to people who were attending the UNGA. So on the bottom left, you'll see the diplomats and the other policymakers who were attending having live conversations with the refugees. And on the right is a very cool campaign that the SDG Action Campaign runs. It's an augmented reality filter that can capture people's priorities around the SDGs and then quickly post it onto Instagram and Facebook. So a very quick way to get people's opinions as well as some of the action that they're taking out. This on the left is interactive virtual reality experience that allows people to step into a hydroponics container. I'm looking at the sort of how you can immerse people in a room scale experience to see what the future of food growing might be. On the right was an augmented reality project that we did that's a sort of bird's eye view storytelling with WFP, looking at blockchain and AI and satellite data imagery and how that's helping them with delivering food to people. And the bottom is an interactive game that looks at farming techniques. Looking at interactive technology displays, on the top left is a chat bot that is used. So you can actually chat with the AI function there and see the questions that you can ask and how it's being developed and learning from you. The top right, satellite data, looking at future of farming and farm precision agriculture. And on the bottom is a blockchain and biometric data display with how UNHCR and WFP are collaborating to track the people and be able to deliver food and other services, cash transfers better. And then lastly, this is some interactive displays, both from just a magnetic board on the left and an interactive touchscreen on the right. So the left was inspiring people to work together to learn about how to design a community garden, taking into factors like the wind direction and the sun direction so that they could think about the planting techniques and get into the mindset of how people might work together to plan this in their communities. And on the right, this is an interactive game that people were playing to try to understand different climate and farming modeling at an event that we attended as well. So just a couple of things to pique the interest. Moving forward, we wanted to share some sort of big questions and big things to think about as you're conceptualizing your exhibit. So this is not an exhaustive list, but some things that we have used as best practices in our planning process. So number one is assessing the spatial, financial, and human capacity to execute. So an internal thing, we're not going to be asking you these questions. So what is the size of the booth you're interested to work with, and how can you actually design that space? What number of staff members might you need to actually manage the production side, so designing it and getting it all right to the start of the summit, and then actually executing the summit on the ground. If you're doing something like virtual reality, you're going to need to be much more hands-on to make sure it's a more of a 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 kind of participant interaction, and it also takes up more space. So how are you planning that into your actual spatial booth design? And then obviously the overall cost, including what it takes, whether you're able to do that internally with some of your internal staff members, or if you have to hire an outside company to achieve your vision. Identify possible collaborators. This is leaning into what Hope and Jamie have already said. We are really encouraging this to be a collaborative process, and we're hoping that we can help to work with you to identify possible collaborators beyond this session as well, if you continue to share your ideas, and also to reach out and say we're hoping to work with other people. So I know Jillian has already dropped in the email, and we'll share it at the end of this where you can share some of that with us. And then finally, define your strategic objectives and outcomes about why you want to participate. So are you aiming to generate new content, such as capturing people who are attending your event and sharing that on your social media, or any data and surveys about feedback, or checking out some of the things that you're working on in this space? Demonstrate a new product or innovation, generate new business leads, and also have brand visibility, which you will definitely have as being a participant, because your logo will be shared on the materials for the summit itself. So number 2, defining the audience experience. This is a very important component, especially since this is meant to be an interactive moment for the audience. So a little bit on the easier side, we know that this is going to be aimed for climate participants and partners, but the question you'll then have to ask yourselves is it just physically for the people in the summit, or do you want to also try to look at some of the innovative storytelling techniques I mentioned before, like connecting people in or outside of the summit, or using it as a moment along the sort of calendar of events to capture participation and to continue dialogue that can be brought together or harnessed for COP28, for example. So looking at it as a road, on a milestone on the road to other events throughout the year. Defining the message. So what is the audience takeaway? Is there a call to action that you want to leave to them? What is the feeling that they're going to have after interacting with your booth, and how are you going to communicate that? So what is the technology or the interaction that people are going to do? Are they going to talk to an individual? Are they going to do some art? Are they going to play with an interactive screen, etc.? 3, what is the audience interaction? So what are they going to do at your booth? How much time will they spend there? And how many people can participate at the same time? If there's a limited amount of people that can participate, what will other people do who are interested to speak with you? Given we are anticipating there are going to be about 15 booths and up to 800 people participating, that's a pretty interesting ratio. So how many people might be at your booth at the same time, and how can you keep multiple people engaged to capture their attention in a great way? Number 3, designing and distributing the outcomes. So in the design, ensure your production schedules and rented or purchased materials align. As we mentioned before, we are anticipating we'll be able to share the outcomes of the application process in the first week of March or so on a rolling basis. So people will have the right to share if they are still interested to work. So just keep that in mind in terms of how you can get everything together by the 8th of May. And also ensure that floor plan has an optimal flow and meets your size requirements. Number 2, the measurements of success. I've touched on this a little bit, but number of guests who have visited, participate in your experience, the number of leads that you have generated, the new social followers or social media engagement, the number of downloads for any apps or anything you're promoting there, media mentions, etc. This is a bit internal, but the AIM4Climate team is interested to hear this feedback in case you are tracking this data, so please do share. And then finally, promoting and capturing your booth success. So what is your promotional strategy to let other participants know? There is no swag, but do you do a social media campaign ahead of time, or do you incorporate it into speakers' talking points? Just something to think about as you are sort of planning your engagement at the summit as a whole. And then after the event, how do you share all your successes? Do you have blogs or social media wrap-up videos, photos, interviews? Is somebody on your team going to be helping you with capturing that as you go along the 3-day summit? And then finally, audience feedback. Do you want to do any in-person questions about this, or do you want to have a post-event survey for people who sign up? So just think through those things. Now, just a last thing to mention here is making the most of a small budget. I know that sometimes getting to these events and bringing it all together can be a bit of a challenge. So that's one of the reasons we're encouraging collaboration, so that people can pool resources. You can also curate existing content in new ways. So reuse things that you've already been using in other expos or exhibits, that's totally fine. And create with your audience. So maybe it's something the audience makes with you, either through, like I said, a social media campaign, or with a less digital version with some art, etc. So I'll leave it at that for now. And then what I'm excited to introduce next is the interactive ideation breakout session. So my colleague is going to be helping to break you into some small groups. We'll give you about 15 minutes to have a conversation, and please take about 90 seconds at the beginning to introduce yourself, to give an initial elevator pitch about what you're hoping to see from the summit, what ideas you're bringing to the table, and then also highlight whether you're interested to probably host your own space or lead your own space, or if you're open to collaborating or any ideas to kind of input into that space if you want to lead it yourself. So we will have some people who will be also helping to take notes, and we'll be just also taking a look at that to see again if we can help with any collaborative efforts. So please do share that, and I'll turn it over to my colleague to break us up. Yes.
Or Kristen, just a second, maybe before we go into breakouts, we can take any questions for the more general group, if people are interested in that. Please share any questions in the chat or raise your hands if you would like to ask any questions to Kristen or the team at this time. So I'm seeing a question from Brian. Does the rental of the space come with tables, chairs, banners, etc.? Brian, you can reference the slide earlier where we covered what the rental comes with and what it does not, but it does come with tables and chairs. If you would like any design or banners, you would be responsible for, but please reference that slide in considering your breakout, or sorry, in considering your exhibit application. From Deborah Reed, how many concurrent breakout sessions do you have planned? Is there a schedule of the overall event? Deborah, at this time, we're still defining the number of breakout sessions. It will really depend on partner interest and applications. So for those who have questions about breakout sessions, please join us for the AIM4Climate consultations later this month. And I put the link in the chat for that. You can register for those and we can answer questions about the breakout sessions then. And we will be sharing a schedule of the event closer to the event after the deadlines for the summit input processes. As I highlighted earlier, this is really intended to be a summit for the partners by the partners. So we hope you'll use this as an opportunity to showcase your work and collaborate. Okay, John Hall, can you sell merch? I'm not sure if Jillian or others from FAR, you have thoughts on that. And then John Torres, any promotion provided for booth participants? John, I would recommend to reference the slide earlier. Any communications or design support will be the responsibility of the partner. And in terms of selling merch, we haven't yet discussed that question, but welcome thoughts from others.
Hey, Hope, as well on the promotion piece, if John's question is related to promoting the participation, absolutely. there will be a lot of exposure for the booth participants in the exhibit hall itself, as well as through the agenda and the application for participants. Not sure which angle that question was coming from. And I think the merch question, you know, I think we're very much flexible. You know, we would definitely just need to think through and make sure that we can accommodate something like that, especially if we have more than one vendor. But I at this time, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't. And so we would just need to be mindful that it's available for everyone to also partake if they choose. But that's a great question, and we'll make sure to include that in our Q&A as we build that out going forward. Thanks.
And just another note, thanks so much, Jamie, on your question then, John, that each option for the booths includes an opportunity for the company logo to be displayed during plenary and the logo listed in the Summit app, which will be live for participants as part of that outreach. Question from Clarice, will this be an annual summit? As of now, this is planned as a Pinnacle Summit for this year as a stepping stone for COP28. Thank you. All right, not seeing any other questions, really appreciate all of these great questions. Please do join us again for the AIM4Climate Summit consultations later this month. Again, the registration link is on the AIM4Climate events calendar, and you can ask any questions you have about additional summit work streams there. So without further ado, we can move on into breakouts.
Hey, Adele, are we bringing people back?
I can do. I thought this was going to be 15 minutes, but there seems to be not as many people. So I can close them if Kristen wants to.
What time are we up to?
I think 10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I think the groups are a bit smaller, so it's always they always less talking, but I don't know what the others. Is Kristen said anything?
No, I've messaged her. Yeah, no, lots of people have dropped off. So I mean, trying to control these groups has been a bit of a mad one because
Okay. I'd maybe pull it back then.
okay.
Pull people back.
All right. I'm gonna just let them know. Bear with.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. So I think folks are trickling back in from the breakout rooms. Hope you had some fruitful discussions and made some good connections and heard some interesting ideas that got you thinking about these breakout exhibitor applications. And I know in my breakout, I was super excited to hear some of the ideas shared. So I know we're at time for the webinar, so I think we'll end this, but hope this was a helpful space for you all to learn more about the AIM4Climate Summit and the breakout hall specifically, or sorry, the exhibit hall specifically. And happy to take any final questions at this time if anyone has them, but otherwise, I think we'll end the webinar. Okay, also, I did want to note that for further inquiries, this is our events email, so please save that and don't hesitate to reach out to us with any questions. Again, the consultations will be later this month for additional questions, so please sign up for those, or office hours with Kristen, and you'll find more information about that in the follow-up email to this webinar. I see a question from John, GIS map of ag innovations. That sounds super cool to me. I'm super excited to hear all of your ideas and to see all of your applications. Any other questions before we close the webinar? Let's see. Okay. Just seeing one more question about update on speakers for the summit and when that would be announced. We'll be updating the AIM for Climate Summit website as speakers are announced, and we'll be announcing keynotes there and expect to have a more full agenda closer to the date of the summit. And again, we'll have the consultations later this month for any additional questions and office hours with Kristen, specifically on the exhibit hall. Thank you all so much for joining. We hope this is a valuable experience, and we really appreciate your partnership and incredible leadership in climate smart agriculture and food systems innovation. Thank you all so much, and we look forward to seeing you soon at the AIM for Climate Summit.